Hello and welcome to Shop Talk with Dan the Man. Today's video we're going to talk about this. This is RYOBI's Recip Saw. Stay tuned to find out more. Hello, if you're new to this channel, my name is Dan Shannon. I enjoy woodworking as a hobby and being out in the shop. On this channel, dive deep into my shop as we explore tools and tool reviews, as well as chatting about everything related to woodworking. If this grabs you by the tool belt, please subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this. Hello and welcome back to Shop Talk with Dan the Man. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today's video we're going to jump into this. This is RYOBI's Recip Saw and it's model number PCL515. And this is RYOBI's 18 volt cordless Recip Saw. So first we're going to jump into the features of this tool, then we're going to slide into the hands-on, and then I'm going to finish up with some final thoughts that I have on this tool. So let's jump into the features. Okay, so the features of this tool, there's not a whole lot to it as far as features, but we'll still go over them. First, you're going to notice on the front there is a lock and unlock. So that just locks the saw out, so you can't use the trigger, so it won't turn on, and then of course you unlock it to engage the trigger. So that's feature number one. You'll notice sliding up to the front here, we got lots of vents from the side profile. There's lots of vents there, and underneath there is other vents. So that just keeps the tool cool at all times while you're using it, because these things do heat up, especially if you're cutting through 4x4s, 2x6s, etc. for renos. It does put off quite a bit of heat. So when we slide to the front of the machine, you're going to notice here the shoe, and this angles depending on what you're cutting. So if you're cutting at like 45, this will actually bend with the surface that you're cutting. So this is great. It acts as a guide, keeps the saw from kind of moving around. It's more or less a template for your wall or whatever you might be cutting. It just keeps the saw straight. So I really like this one. This one isn't adjustable though. Normally there's two bolts here or a bolt on the side that you can adjust this back and forth. With this particular model, you cannot do that. There is a screw though if you want to take this completely off. I wouldn't recommend it just because of what I said, this being a guide for the tool. So I would leave it on, but if you wanted it off for whatever reason, you can pull this bolt out and this thing will slide out easy. Now, to insert and take the blade out, you want to remove your battery first. And you'll notice on the side here, there is a quick release. So that just pulls up towards you and your blade slides out. Very quick, very easy to remove the blade, and then that just snaps back down. So that's just located on the front, and it just pulls, like I said, towards yourself, and then you put the blade in and lock it back down. And you just repeat that in reverse to put the blade back in. So you just line it up. You see on the inside there's a spot for the blade to go. You just line it up, pull this tab towards you and slide it in, and it's locked in place. So you can double check, just give it a little tug, make sure it's in there. I wouldn't recommend having the battery on just in case for some odd reason the trigger does engage on you for that. So let's see if there's any other features on this tool. The back side has the information about the tool, model number, etc. some more vents for that. And the battery, of course, depending on what you're using. So this one here is a 4 amp hour. You can get different versions, different sizes, of course, of the battery. For me, based on this tool and using for any length of time, it is in your hand. It's not overly heavy, but it's heavy enough that if you're using it all day, cutting, the vibration, I would probably go with a bit smaller battery. And yeah, you might have to take them off and put newer ones on more often just because your runtime. Because a 4 amp hour, of course, you would have a longer run time because of the size of the battery. But for me, it's all about weight for using these handheld tools. Now, obviously, if you're on the job site, you're not by a charger, you're not by all your batteries all the time. Of course, I would swap for the bigger battery just for the convenience factor. But yeah, that's pretty much it for features. And I should mention your trigger on the tool, I'll put the battery back on, is a variable speed. So there's no physical speeds on this tool, but the trigger is your variable speed. So the more you press it in, the more it'll engage. So I'll just show you that now. So if you're starting off a cut, obviously you want to come at it quite slow, and then of course work your speed up. So, you know, with this variable speed trigger, you're able to adjust your speed motion. And another thing to note with the blades, we'll dive into that before we get into the hands-on. You notice this blade is quite large. This is a 12-inch blade. So if you're cutting 4x4s, anything large, you'd want the bigger blade on here. And this is a wood blade. You can tell the teeth are quite big and able to bite off a lot of wood at once. I would recommend, if you're using this saw quite a bit, to get yourself a combination blade kit. Amazon sells these. You get them at the hardware store, different spots. I'm not sponsored by this company, but they do have a variety of different blades. So whether you're cutting with metal, so some of these smaller ones, it'll say right on there what this is for. So this is a metal blade. You can always usually tell from the teeth size. The bigger the teeth usually means wood, smaller to the teeth, like a hacksaw would be for metal. And of course it goes right up. You know, you get a bit bigger blades. These are metal as well. You can get blades that are both, so they're all-purpose blades. They have smaller or mid-sized teeth, so they're not giant for wood. They're not too small. They're kind of right in the middle. So this would be a version of that. This is a CRV blade. And this is for wood, this particular one. A little different shape to it. And then of course you get into the more aggressive wood blade, which is what we have on there, which have the big teeth. So I would recommend having one of these universal kits. They're not that expensive, and it gives you that range. So whether you're cutting metal, wood, there's blades in here for plastic. So whether you're cutting PVC pipe or different things on the job, this would be a great tool set to have to add to your recip saw. So let's, after that blade review, let's jump into the hands-on and see what this thing is capable of, whether or not you should add it to your collection in your shop. So let's jump into hands-on. Okay, so here we are in the hands-on of this recip saw. Now you noticed in the features, I had this big blade on, and I'm going to be cutting this smaller piece of wood. So obviously this blade is too long and too big. If you're cutting something small with such large teeth, the blade's going to flop around a lot and you're going to lose control of your saw fairly quickly. So I'm going to swap it out to a more preferred size. You can see how there's a big difference in size of blade, and that's based on the product that you're cutting. So easy to remove. Take the battery off first, pull the tab, pull the blade out, slide the new blade in, and that's it. It's just that quick and easy. Now I will mention I haven't in the features, but you can swap this blade opposite. So say you're cutting down and you're in a building where there's a stud above you and you have to cut this way. You can just pull the tab again, flip the blade around, and then continue to cut upwards, or you can flip the saw around and keep it the same cut. So that's really preference, but for now we're gonna switch it right way around. Put it in, lock it in, add the battery. All right, so we're ready to cut this board. I got the small blade on, the battery's fully charged. Let's see what it can do. Perfect. Do another cut. This time I'm going to put my plate tight up against the board. Perfect. Cut that no problem. Very easy, very smooth. There wasn't any fight with the saw. Seemed to perform very well. So let's jump into a bigger board that I have to see whether or not this changes the tool and whether it can cut through this very easily. Once again, I'll check my size. That still is a fine size to use for cutting this blade. I don't need to swap it out with a bigger one, just because you can see there it's got plenty of length. So let's clamp that down and then I'll fire the saw up. Okay, so that's all clamped down. We got my recip saw all ready to go. I'm going to use my shoe, make sure that's really nice and tight up against the board. So when I cut through, it keeps the saw from not smacking around and it keeps it nice and planted. All right, so let's cut this now. So as you can see, that cut no problems at all. Let's do another pass. There we are. So that's just that easy. The saw cut through there, had a new blade on it. So always make sure your blades are nice and sharp. Don't use dull ones unless, of course, you're cutting scrap wood out and you just want to use an old blade because there's nails or different things in the wood that you don't care to have your new blades all messed up on. So I usually keep a spare older blade around just so I can cut up some bad wood. But then again, that's a little bit harder on the motor. So it's your preference at the end of the day. But like I said, I always keep a scrap one lying around just for that. All right, let's jump into some final thoughts. So some final thoughts on this RYOBI reciprocating saw. So hands down, I would say, if you're in the market for a recip saw and you're already part of the RYOBI lineup, the family, the tools, there's over 300 products that they sell, batteries, etc. I would say this is a great fit for your shop. As you can see with the hands-on, it tackled those two boards very easily, very efficiently, did exactly what it should do. I would recommend this tool for someone that's just starting off, that needs this added to their collection, or maybe it's not a tool that you thought about before, but now that you've kind of done a little research on, you see that it's a bonus for your shop. And I also use this tool, believe it or not, quite a bit outside. You can use it for cutting some trees, branches. A lot of times, if you have any overhang around your property for trees, where you're cutting your grass on the perimeter and there's a few branches that are overhanging. This does quick work of just shoring that up and taking away those branches with a decent blade on it. So I use this all the time. I have a rigid one that I use. This is a friend of mine's. He let me borrow it to do a review on it just to see how it would handle. And yeah, at the end of the day, it does exactly the job that it needs to do. Does it have all the features that, say, a higher end brand would? No, but depending on what you're using, depending on what its purpose is, I think it's a perfect tool to add to your collection, especially if you already have RYOBI batteries, you already have RYOBI tools. It's just something that would be a plus one for your shop. So once again, make sure you get maybe a multi-pack of blades, just so you have that variety when it comes to cutting, because you might be surprised, like I was, how often this tool does get used around your shop and around your property for cutting up different things. And also, if you have a project that you're working on with, say, some old deck boards. I recently just did some pulling up on my deck for some boards I had to replace, and this tool made quick work of that. And at the end, I was able to take my old boards, cut them into smaller pieces, more manageable sizes, and then I was able to burn my wood. So this tool is great. So thanks again for watching today's video. Hopefully you learned a little something about RYOBI and their product. And also, don't forget, it doesn't matter how big or how small your shop is, just get out and enjoy working with tools, enjoy getting out there, whether it's just putting a cup of coffee on, sitting in your shop thinking of some projects that you'd like to do. But the goal is just to get out there. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you use RYOBI, Rigid, Milwaukee, so on and so forth, DeWalt. Just get out in your shop and use the tools that you have and just enjoy it. So thanks for watching today's video. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button down below to be part of the Shop Talk family. Give me a thumbs up, and I will catch you on the next episode. Have a good day.